Love is blue sometimes, baby, but suddenly it shines. Love is say the truth. Love is walk alone every night.
My name is Michael. I'm from North Carolina, from a place called Plymouth. I'm currently active duty in the Army.
I'm Tequila Harrell. I'm from Everett, North Carolina, and I'm currently getting my master's in school counseling from Loyola University, Maryland. I
was on a website called POF, so I was just looking up, and I ended up seeing her profile, thought it was cute, whatever, and I emailed her, hey, beautiful, I think.
That's exactly what it was.
So it didn't work, she ignored it, and I was the type of guy like, nah, she gonna respond. And she ignored me for like 3 months. It seemed like, I don't know if it was 3 months for sure, but I know it was a long time before she responded. It was like 12 weeks. So long story short, she ended up, eventually, after about 2 more responses, she responded back saying, hey, she was very short. But I ended up getting her to come to Greenville, meet me in person. And then from there, we hit it off. There was some bumps in the road though, cause like, I was supposed to meet her parents one day. And my mom had got sick in the hospital at the same time. And she was like, well, I understand your mom was sick, but if you don't meet my parents, it's a no-go. Like that, yeah. That's how I felt. So I said, hey, Mom, I'm gonna go meet this girl because, I really like her, so I'll be back. And I met her parents, and they was really cool, chill, and then we just started hanging out from there. So.
The only variation would be about the whole mom thing. It was not like she was on her deathbed or anything like that. It was something real simple wrong with her, like a cold or something. I'm like, all right, cool, do your thing, hang out with your mama. So.
Oh, so you exaggerated that a little bit.
Yeah, he is. It's not like she was dying. Like, she's fine. She was fine then, she's fine now.
Okay.
He seems to think.
I feel totally different because she was like, it's over. If you don't come and meet my parents now, I'm like, I could have came the next day.
Oh. She put the rush on you.
Yeah, like if it wasn't there, then, you could have gave me one more day.
No, because it was like 2 other times where it had gotten blown off for like another reason. I was just kind of like, oh, well, this is it. You either come now or you don't. My past dating life was complicated. I was the type of person who was brought up from a religious background, Christian. So I was looking for my husband or my significant other, my husband, in 3rd grade. Like, kind of had heard about that love that my parents had and was willing to experience. I thought that was also going to be my story. So 3rd grade, I was like, my parents met in 3rd grade. They got married, been together their whole entire life. I think December 1st would be 32 years that they've been married. So I thought that was going to be my story also, and it didn't happen like that for me. So a lot of my dating years, I was trying to fit a boyfriend into a husband role, and it just didn't work. I think that moment for me came around my first engagement, which didn't work out. I just knew for a fact that I loved him, he loved me, and love was enough. We would figure the rest out as time went on. And as time was going on, I realized that love wasn't enough, that I needed more than just him saying, oh, you're my sun, you're my moon, you're my stars, because the sun, the moon, and the stars didn't keep the light bill on. And that's exactly where my, aha moment came. It was the middle of August, and we were sitting. That apartment had to be 100 degrees, and we were sitting there, no lights, no food, no water, and I was like, oh, this can't be my portion in life. This is not what God created me to do. This is not what, I put myself into this situation. So I got to figure out how to get myself out. And so I terminated the relationship, moved back home, and was allowed to kind of reevaluate myself, was welcomed with open arms and, not a whole lot of judgment or anything. And that kind of set me on course for, I'ma just chill. And if I get a husband, then I get a husband, not so much looking for a husband.
Back in my past, I used to pick my partners basically on how they look, not really so much what was going on in their mind, because at that point, I mean, I had 2 failed relationships with girls that kind of broke my heart. So I was more or less like just like physical. Like I was just dating just to have sex with them and whatnot. And like I wouldn't be a pimp or a dog to girls, but I wouldn't really lead them to why I wanted to have a relationship with them. I just wanted to hang out and have fun. That's all I wanted. So I was just having fun. It made me change to where I had to really look at my partner and be like, not just always, like love wasn't just enough. Like it had to be more than just love. It had to be, because you're not always gonna have good days. Like was that person gonna be there for me when I was having my bad days, when I was like down on my luck, when I didn't have a job. Like I know a lot of times like it was harder for me to pick up women when I didn't have a job. And like I knew if I wanted a wife or even a girlfriend, like I wanted them to accept me for who I am, regardless of if I had a job or I didn't, or how we always like, when I'm clean cut, accept me when I'm just being rugged. Like she gonna love me for all aspects of who I am, not just what I present to her.
It was difficult to find a relationship that I felt was meaningful, because it was kind of like everybody around there was doing the same thing. So to change it up, my mom actually was the one who introduced the idea. She was like, you should try finding somebody. I think she said Match.com originally. And I was like, oh, I'm not finna pay for this. Like, no. There's got to be some free dating apps. So that's pretty much what happened. I think the first one I tried was Christian Mingle. And when it got to that point where you had to pay, I was like, oh, guess it ain't for me. And with POF, like, I never paid for it, so. And I mean, he was the only guy that I ever dated from POF. And then, the relationship was successful. But it was kind of awkward, especially at first when you're scrolling through and you seeing people from your high school and you like, oh, this is kind of embarrassing. Like, I look so desperate. But it's really not a matter of desperation. It shows a change in the times. Like, it's a convenience factor to dating online.
For me, like I had tried like a lot of different dating sites, like Tag, Facebook. Well, Facebook shouldn't be used for dating, but I used it
like
for dating.
Facebook is a date now?
And a couple other ones, but like when I did Plenty of Fish, which is POF, it was like I said, okay, well, people here gotta be kind of serious about trying to be in a relationship. So, that was kind of the thing for me. Like I was ready for being in a relationship. Got tired of being, going to the club all the time, going out all the time. So just wanted something different. And I tried it, and it worked out. 'Cause I met an awesome lady. I met Tequila, so I think it worked out for the best.
On my profile, I put like, only serious inquiries, and I had age limits and everything. And I think it was 25, and he messaged me. He was like, yeah, I'm 24. 23, yeah, 23, one of them. He was like, well, can you make an exception? And I was kind of like, I don't know. And that's probably another reason why it took me so long to respond, just because he wasn't what I was looking for. Like, he didn't fit the outline. Before that, I was anti-internet dating. I'm like, that's for desperate and lonely people who can't find a man. That's not me. I'm outgoing. I have personality. But you can have all the personality in the world if that person's not interested in the same thing that you're interested in. You're not a match. So it kind of gave me the ability to open up and see people outside of Martin County. Because as you know, Martin County is extremely small. If they're not your cousin, then they dated your cousin. So it makes the, family cookouts a little weird when you showing up with somebody, your cousin ex-boyfriend. But anyway, and that did happen to me a couple of times. I was like, oh snap, you know her? How you know her? That's my family. So that it opened it up so I could get, I could meet people from Greenville, from Plymouth, from Washington, and Raleigh, Rocky Mountain, places like that. So it actually happened that, I never went on a date other than with my husband, with Mike, from the dating website, but it gave me perspectives and let me know that not all men are dogs, because it's kind of that bitterness I was getting into it, because I felt like all of the guys that I was running into, they probably weren't dogs. They were just interested in something that I was not interested in. And that doesn't make them a bad person. It makes them different. And forthrightness was something that bothered me. Sometimes guys would not share, hey, I'm just trying to smash. They would kind of play the long game, and y'all been talking for about 2-3 months, and now they're like, oh, when you gonna give it up? What? I did not know that was our objective here. I thought we were trying to get to learn each other.
Looking at what other people post, it can be entertaining, and like we know to stay away from that. So like, if we're having issues, we mainly keep it between me and her. Like, we don't post anything that is like between me and her. Like, if we're just out at church or something, we might be like, hey, had a great time at church. We might do something like that. But as far as personal issues coming up, or me ranting about what she's doing, I keep that between us, because that gives people room to come into a relationship. You never want to broadcast anything to people that want to see you break up, want to try to come between y'all marriage, or even relationships. You don't know who still wants your mate, or envies the fact that you're with them. So if you want to keep what you got that's good, you keep it behind closed doors.
Daddy's girl, that's what I am. And it was kind of like, you got to meet the daddy standard. And that's why it was so important for him to meet my parents, because like, if you don't get their approval, then sorry, that's it. But so definitely had a checklist, and then having a conversation with my dad when the relationship started to get serious, like, hey, he has all of these qualities, but he doesn't have these qualities. And my dad honestly was like, some of the qualities that you're looking for are learned behaviors. And it's not like if he doesn't have it, then he's not good enough. You got to make that exception, because if you love a person or they're the right person for you, you have to be willing to change and grow into the person that they desire. And some people, have a hard time with that terminology. And I mean, I guess you could dress it up any way that you want to, but in my mind, that's what it is. Like, he was willing to change for me. And when I saw that he was serious, I was like, oh, snap, let's go ahead and do this thing. Because I remember, like, the turning point, at least in my mind, of the relationship was he had just got laid off of another job. It was like the third one, and I was just like, oh, this not finna go nowhere. You can't provide for me. Like, I'm doing big things myself, and you ain't doing, you're not measuring up to my standards. So I was like, you need to join the military. And he was like, if I join the military, will you marry me? And I was like, yeah, sure. Kind of like nonchalantly. And then he actually began the process of trying to join the military. And I was like, oh, this guy is serious. Like, he means this thing. Oh, well, he mean it, I mean it too.
Well, I didn't really have one. Like, me,
you didn't have a checklist?
Not that. I mean, well, I had like some, but like, it wasn't like hers, like so drawn out. Like, long as she was like respectable, nice, and like she had like she wanted something.
She had 2 legs.
She wanted something going. She wanted something going for herself. Then we could, make it work from there. Like, she ain't had to be no 6-figure or having no awesome job or have a car and that stuff. Like, as long as she had her mind in the right place.
She didn't have to have a car.
She didn't have to have a car, but if she had a car, it was a plus. I'm just saying.
Oh, Lord.
But like, initially, like, when we started dating and stuff, like, I met her parents, and like, just being around her dad and her mom, just seeing how their relationship was, like, I wanted that for myself, because like, my parents didn't have that. Like, my mom was divorced from my dad, so I only had her mom and dad as a positive marriage relationship for me. And then like, me and her dad started getting real close, and then I was getting close with her, so it only seemed right that like, I wanted to be with her. Like, just everything was the right time, or just the right moment, and it just made me think, well, this is more of an enjoyable. It's getting more of an enjoyable life for me, because like, at one time I was like, man, damn, why am I here? Like, what's God planned for me? And then like, just going to church and learning more about myself and becoming more confident in myself, it just made me want that change. And I think that's what made me want to be with her more and more. She got married to a guy that didn't necessarily say he loved us a lot. Like, he you know, he would do things that a stepfather would do, like he would pay the bills and stuff like that and buy us presents, or so-called buy us presents. But he would always say, well, you know, we're not his kids. And like with my mom, he didn't really show my mom affection. Like he would say, well, I noticed that a lot of times she had to pay him back for things. And I'm like, well, if you married, you know, y'all in a relationship, why is there an account of, you know, how much you do for her? Why is he counting what he does? So in my life, I don't think that was a good representation of love. Same thing with my dad. My dad is still not married. Like he still has a girlfriend to this day. So I'm like, if he loves his girlfriend, why don't he marry her? So I don't really use them too much to impact how I thought about love or what I thought. Like when I watch anime or movies, stuff like that, I initially thought that's what love was. And then I learned, yeah, love is some of what you see, maybe on TV or in anime, like it's somewhat of that, but love is more than just, hey, I love you, babe. Like it's you getting up every day, that same person, going through things with them, experiencing downfalls, experiencing losses, experiencing gains too. So it's more than just you saying, oh, I love you, or you telling the person they look handsome or they pretty or whatever. Like it's more than just a word or a gesture.
I feel like I had several examples of different types of love, but I never felt like a love as genuine as my parents' love for each other, that extended towards us as their children, my sister and I. And I feel like I was able to conceptualize love at a very young age. And I believe that I showed that love in just my experiences with other people, and the genuineness that I just naturally have comes from their love. So seeing that made me kind of focus on what my idea of love was, which was based off of them. So when I saw anything that didn't look exactly like their love, I would discount it. I would be like, oh, that's not love. Because, you know, he doesn't go start, you know, her car in the morning, or he doesn't, you know, he's not willing to work 2 jobs so that she can stay home and take care of the children, or, you know, he's not willing to sacrifice, or she's not willing to sacrifice everything that she has for her partner. So that can't be genuine, that can't be real love. And that's what, once again, that's what I was looking for when I was dating. I was looking for a man who was willing to do everything that my dad did for his mom, for my mom, and I was willing to give everything that I had to that man, the same way that I saw my mom give to my dad. But when people are raised from different backgrounds and they have also an idea of what they believe true love is, and it didn't match up to mine, then there came that friction in the relationship.
I think to me, it has made me grow up and learn that becoming a man isn't just what you see on Instagram, like having the big money cars or just flashing your money or having these type of shoes. Like being a man is like taking care of your responsibility, being head of the household, taking care of what you need to get done. Like by any means necessary. Even if you're sick, don't just like sit in bed and be like, oh, I'm sick, I can't do nothing. Or like be there for your loved one, be there for your wife when she needs you. Like it's a lifestyle. It's not just a one-day thing that you do. So I think a lot of my growing has been like not being childish, not wanting to like. I used to think like if I got rich, what's the first thing I'm gonna do is go buy like an expensive car. Now I think retirement, putting my money up, having a savings account, investing, things like that. So I think I have grown a lot since being married to a wonderful partner here. Now, like, you know, once you get married, like you gotta understand, like, hey, you can't just go out and be like, hey, bro, hey, babe, I'll be back. Like, you gotta let her know where you going at, what time you'll be back. Like, and it's not even a thing of like having an ego, like, oh, I'm a grown man, I'm doing what I want. No, like you married, like your wife is gonna worry. You want her to know where you at. And like as a single man, I used to think that way. Like my mom didn't care where I used to be at. So, you know, like that kind of came into our relationship when we first got married. I used to do a lot of things and not tell Keela about it. And she would get mad at me, I'd be like, why she getting mad? And then like it took me maybe 6-8 months to actually get it. And she was saying, hey, Mike, I just want to know. Like, I'm not going to tell you you can't do it. I just want to know. And it just, you know, for me, it was just hard for me to understand, like, she just wanted to know where I was at or what I was doing. So, you know, I think communication is a big part. Like learning how to communicate with your partner and actually just understanding what they need from you.
Oh man, I feel like I have changed so much. Because as a single woman, independent, you know, get it for yourself. We got married when I was 27?
27?
Something, you know, what, 2 years? I'm 30,
Yeah,
28.
27.
Yeah, 27, 28. So it was for 27 years, I had the mind frame of I got to get it myself. I got to do it myself. And then, you know, when I got married, that mindset did not change immediately. So there'd be conversations where, you know, Mike would say, well, you know, this is what I want to do. And I'm kind of like, oh, no, you can't tell me what to do. I'm a grown woman. I make the money, you know, type thing. And it's not about the money. It's not about any of that. It's about having someone and valuing them, making them feel like they're valued. And so, yeah, I think that I changed in that aspect. A lot of times you hear African-American women don't want to submit, and that's not true. There's not a problem, especially with me. I didn't have a problem submitting. The issue was making sure that I'm submitting to the right person, because I submit myself to my husband who submits himself to God. And if that order does not line up, then I'm not doing it. So that was something else that, you know, we had to work on, honestly, in our relationship, getting our individual selves right with God so that our marriage would be in line and in order. So I feel like that's an area of change and growth, understanding that his opinion does matter, because, you know, for so long it was just my mom, my dad, and my sister. That's all I had to worry about, my mom, my dad, and my sister. And now I got this whole beautiful husband, or handsome husband, and I have to consider him too. And not only do I have to consider him, I have to consider him above my mom, my dad, and my sister. And that's still, honestly, like taking some work, because for 27 years, 28 years, it was just that was the order of my life. So, I mean, I feel like both of us are still in a transitional period.
Moments like of trying to understand like what was going on with me, because I'm not a person that shows my feelings well or explains them well. So her just sitting around with me acting like a jerk, you know, even still being there, showed me, hey, this is a girl that really cares about me, not just about my looks or money or any of those things. Like, she really cares about my feelings and my spirit, because there's the two things she always talked about is feelings, and then she stayed on me about going to church. She said even if we part ways, she still want me to go to church, get saved, find my way with God, because at the end of the day, she wants my soul to be saved. And I had never met a woman that, you know, even if they, you know, usually women say, hey, I don't want you to be with nobody else but me. But she said, even if I give you away, I'm giving you to the Lord, or she wants you to find that way. So just hearing that made me want to be like, oh, I want this woman in my life, because, I mean, if I make it into the Army, you get deployed, you want to have a woman of God in your life. From what I hear, you know, you definitely want a woman that's saved and sanctified. So I feel like that's what she was before I met her, and that's what led me to want to marry her.
I chose my husband because it wasn't one thing. It was several things. It was love. Does he love me? Yes. Do I love him? Yes. Sacrifice, and what that sacrifice means to each of us. Because I realized that sacrifice for him might be, all right, I'm not gonna play my Xbox. You know, I'm gonna sit and I'm gonna talk on the phone to you, where I'm like, why do you even have an Xbox? You're like, that's not a sacrifice. That's not good enough, you know? So I had to learn that that's his sacrifice. And at that time, that was the best that he could do. And I had to accept that for that being the best that he could do. And when he was able to do better, able to sacrifice in different ways, then he would. I had this all or nothing thinking that doesn't work when you're dating, and doesn't work necessarily during the first couple of years in marriage. You have to get comfortable with one another. You have to you're still building that trust, because you can be with the person for several years, but until you say I do, as soon as you say I do, everything slowly starts to change. Your perspective shifts, and your responsibility, the way that you think about things, begins to change. So love, sacrifice, definitely religion, and what you feel like that is. Like, my religion was extremely important to me. If he didn't value religion the same way that I did, our marriage wouldn't work. Our relationship wouldn't work. And that's what happened with past relationships. They didn't work because we weren't on the same spiritual level. If you're trying to party every weekend and I'm trying to go to church, it's not gonna work.